That we agree on a name.
We did this morning.
I just want to make sure we have an official name for the show. Prison Mastermind. Going home for good.
Mhm. That was
Yes.
a master
That is,
class.
oh, my fault. Prison Masterclass.
Yes.
You like Prison Mastermind better than Prison Masterclass?
I like class because it's teaching. Mastermind. I like class. But you know what? Since people are on here, people are coming in. Do y'all like mind or do y'all like class? We want to hear from you. We know y'all are out there. Let's see.
Yeah, we can act. It's I said that by accident. 'Cause I'm tired, but we can
You know
make that
what?
happen.
Okay, people are just like prison mastermind. Somebody said no. Okay, we hear you, and we see you. We just
They
need
didn't
some.
like prison. They didn't like Prison Mastermind.
One person like prison mastermind, the other person did not. So we need somebody to break that tie. Prison master class, prison mastermind. What y'all think?
Well, I was kind of Prison Mastermind.
Hmm. You look like you're going into deep thought. You're reflecting.
Having a flashback. I'm having a flashback. Nah, I used to be the sports guru. So if you had any sports argument at all of any kind in prison, you would come see me, and they'd be like, "Yo,
You know,
Dre." Then I settled the
soccer.
dispute. I knew the fact. I was a walking encyclopedia on prison on sports facts.
Oh snap! Did that include soccer too?
Soccer didn't exist in the 80s. The 80s
Huh.
and 90s, there was no soccer. Basketball, football were the main two. A little bit of baseball. Very little hockey. But the people I talked to generally was basketball and football.
Got you.
Hola, hola,
Okay.
senor.
Some people are saying
Maxima.
masterclass.
All right, well, I mean, that's what the original was. Prison Masterclass. Going home for good. That was it.
All right. Well, it is almost 7 there. So we
Oh, we
have one
gone.
more.
We already 2 minutes in. It's 7 o'clock. So
Let's go ahead and pop this off. We are so happy that you all are here tuning in. First things first, we are here to learn more. Dre has been on almost 2 weeks every night at 7 p.m., every weekday at 7 p.m., dropping jewels, dropping gems, dropping knowledge. And this day is just like the last day, just like the last couple weeks, dropping gems. And guess what? We're doing that at the airport. Are you at the airport right now?
we're live at the airport. We're in we're in the Delta Lounge. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
Wait a minute. We gotta be happy. Gotta be Delta 360. You know what I'm saying? Delta 360. We are in the building. We didn't sneak in the lounge. We're the premier people in the lounge. So all the people you see, nobody in this building has higher status than I do. Because there's nothing higher than 360 executive. So we're in the Delta Lounge at LaGuardia Airport chilling.
All right. Y'all heard
It's
it here
you know
first.
something? That's something different, right? To just be in the airport, I'm around hundreds of people in the Delta Lounge, and I literally have the highest status in the building,
Mm.
or equal to. There are some people out there that have it. I have equal to the highest status of anybody in this space. It just goes to show that because I did time, because I dropped out of school, because doesn't prevent you from moving forward. If you hit the benchmark, see, listen, I got my little 360 thing, right? You know what I'm saying? You get that, has nothing to do with criminal record. It has nothing to do with education. It has nothing to do with your background. It's how much you fly. Full stop. They don't care where you come from. If you buying plane tickets, they give you 360 pass. And I bought plane tickets and they gave me a 360 status. So
Now,
it's just
oh, I thought you were finished. I didn't mean to cut you off there.
no, no, good.
Oh, I was saying you were sharing like it doesn't matter. your status, where you came from before. I think that's a good segue for all the new folks that are on here, because we get new people every day. It's live. So if you can just give a brief little bio, a brief little who is Dre for the people out there that is their first time coming on live tonight.
Okay, make this note. We're gonna make this video that describes this. We're gonna be
Okay.
like, this is Dre video, bang. We're gonna hit the this is Dre video intro. So that way I don't have to say it 5 times a week. I don't mind saying it, but it just would be simpler and cleaner if we just made a video. So
Gotcha.
make a note and let 3D know we need to make a video, and that'll be the entry. We have to like the slot. So for those who don't know, my name is Andre Norman, born in Boston, Massachusetts, grew up there, got off track, went to prison. I spent 14 years in prison, and of those 14 years, I spent 2.5 in solitary confinement for getting in trouble in prison. I realized that I was on a bus going nowhere fast, and if I didn't change my attitude and my thinking, that I would never change my life, and I'd spend the rest of my life in prison. So I taught myself how to read, taught myself the law. I flipped my case on appeal. I went to anger management, every program they didn't have nailed down. I got my life together, and I came home with a purpose. And for the last 23 years since I've been home, I've been helping people all over the planet. And I never thought it was possible. I thought I was just going to help people where I came from, Dorchester, Massachusetts, Mattapan, Roxbury. I thought I was going home to Boston to help people. I just spent the entire day in Rikers Island today. In 2 weeks, I'm going to Louisiana. I just came back from Brazil and Curacao and Bahamas. I've been all throughout Europe and Asia. I mean, it's just like people need help everywhere. I didn't think about that when I was getting my stuff together. That, something, they need help in Sweden. Never dawned on me. Oh, they need help in South Africa. It never dawned on me. They need help in Guatemala. It never dawned on me because I lived in 4 square blocks. And all I knew was those 4 square blocks. Until I opened my mind up with something to help with some friends beyond 4 square blocks, I didn't have much thinking. So I am a global ambassador for people who've been incarcerated, who are incarcerated, have loved ones incarcerated, to show you and to help you understand that your loved one can be successful, you can be healed and successful, and that there's a brighter side on the other side of this whole madness. Sometimes you got to go through to get through. People tell me, Dre, the life you have and the things you do now is phenomenal, but you wouldn't have it if you didn't go to jail. And that's true. I wish I could have got it another way. This is not the ideal way to become a motivational speaker, but it is what it is. And I made what I had work.
Now, today's live for everyone that is on today. We're going to talk about his day at Rikers Island. So we have a video that we're going to show. So he shared a little bit about himself, but we're going to take it a step further. So all the new folks, all the people on live, y'all can get a little taste of what he does. But before we get into it, Dre, how was that experience today?
Today, we're going to listen. Rikers Island is an iconic prison in the country. It's one of the most well-known prisons in the country. Is one of the first, and it's one of the biggest. And it's sad to see that many people locked up, and it's even sadder to see people locked up and don't get it. I look at some of these brothers and say, I was them. I was locked up young and didn't get it. I thought it was summer camp because I never got to go to summer camp as a kid. So for me, Rikers Island would be summer camp. They got a basketball court, they got a bunch of guys to play with, and it's kind of like summer camp, but it's not. And a lot of people don't fully understand the situation that they're in. They're in there taking 15, 20. Oh, give me 15, give me 20. I'll take that. I'll take 12, whatever. And they're not really understanding, and they won't figure it out for another 10 years, that their childhood is gone. I spent every single day of my 20s was spent in a cage. I turned 20 in jail. I turned 30 in jail. Every single moment of my 20s was locked in a cage. And I didn't understand what I was missing until after I got out.
Well, we are going to go ahead and start this video. Thank you for sharing that. And we're definitely going to dive deeper. So before, we get going, please, my folks, go to YouTube, go to Facebook, subscribe, and you can see us even more clearly. The video is showing Instagram, but
no. If they don't want to subscribe, they ain't got to subscribe. Listen, this is real simple. They know what they're supposed to do. Hit the subscribe button. If they don't want to do it, listen, they ain't my people. They're being voyeurs. I'm cool with voyeurs. I'm cool with sideline people. There's people who are in the game. There's people who are on the sidelines. If you want to stay on the sidelines, knock yourself out.
All right. Heard it here first. We're playing this video now.
First, we turn to the bloody violence that broke out Sunday night at a maximum security prison in South Carolina, leaving 7 prisoners dead, 17 others seriously injured, the deadliest prison riot in the United States.
So after the Lee riots, which took place on this yard, we lost lives, and we never want to lose lives of anybody. We were looking for something different. And when I met Andre, I said, you know, I believe in these men. I believe that they can change. I believe if we give them hope, if we give them a future, that they can change the prison culture.
SCDC confirms that shocking new video obtained by WIS shows an inmate at the Lee Correctional Institution attacking a guard with a makeshift weapon. But as the attack continues, you see another inmate step in and intervene, saving the lieutenant's life. According to SCDC, both the guard and the inmate who intervened were stabbed multiple times, but are expected to be okay, and because of that, Director Brian Sterling says he believes the Academy of Hope program has served its purpose in a big way.
Can't think of a bigger deal than saving someone's life. I mean, literally, this is a different conversation if it's not for the Academy of Hope and not for that offender.
The Academy of Hope is a one-of-a-kind program. No place on the planet does it exist, because no place on the planet did they think we could exist. But now that we're here, we're going to take this movement, we're going to embed it in people's heart and let them know our biggest gift to the prison system is twofold. We show inmates the possibility of holding on to their dream. And we teach the staff the reality of their wrongness by thinking we can't ever become something great.
What Andre is trying to do with Academy of Hope is trying to get them to transition from the inside to the outside so they can become productive citizens. What he's learned in and out of prison and being able to share that through the Academy of Hope and that platform gives him an opportunity to really make a difference in other people's lives based on his own personal experience. And so to me, that's authentic, that's real, and he is real.
Academy of Hope wants both sides to sit at the table and say, how can we make this better? The solution's with us. There's nobody out in society, there's no PhD, there's no doctor, there's no police officer. This is a corrections problem. COs and inmates, we can fix this. Nobody understands prison like we do. They think they know, they read a book or saw a movie. Until you've been back here behind this wall for 24 hours, 7 days, you don't get this. It's a whole nother world.
So Dre calls me one day and he says, listen, we're gonna do this thing in South Carolina prison system. So I was like, what is it? We're gonna take the most violent offenders in South Carolina. We're gonna take gang leaders. We're gonna take top influencers, and we're gonna put them all in one block. We're gonna get a dorm to ourselves, and we're gonna go in, and we're gonna change the whole situation. And in that space, what the world said was the most dangerous and unruly individuals, I've saw some of the best brotherhood and family and love and compassion and caring and intellectual individuals in the world.
They took out the violence, and what I mean by they took out the violence, there was no knives. So I never been on the yard where you didn't have a knife. I never been on the yard where you come outside with your shower shoes on. You gotta have on your boots because you never know what can happen at any minute. They took out the violence, they replaced it with education. My environment is what I make it now. I'm around positive people.
Oh, bless.
Culture, a lot of people don't know, culture is from a root word that means care. In order for you to create a culture, you have to care about individuals. Caring starts from making a safe environment for people to be in. Once people feel safe, they become a part of the culture. Why this is important is because the environment changes a person before the person changes the environment. It's a quote that Inky Johnson says all the time, and I can see that in effect when I move into spaces. We change the culture first, then that person feels safe, and then naturally that environment makes people start to react and rise to their higher selves in the environment.
When I've seen my best friend in the hospital bed with his head shot off because a 15-year-old decided to let a Glock pop off at 2 o'clock in the daytime.
If you don't tap into their value, you're doing yourself a disservice. Because like I said, you'd be surprised, even though you may be a corrections officer, the warden, or even the directors, you can learn how things can get solved by the people you have inside.
When I go to visit the program that Andre works in, those guys are just full of thanks for us bringing something to them that lets them be real with who they are, deal with the things that they buried deep, the trauma that they didn't deal with as a child. They're able to deal with those things now in a group of men who they probably never would have shared those things with. Just that, right now, I see the difference in how this program has helped them. And I feel that if it had not come in and these opportunities have not been given to them, we would still have angry men out there, people who wouldn't talk, who would, as Andre would say, kill each other on sight.
So now you can catch me anywhere, where they call me Slick Life for Bubs. You can catch me in the hood with a firm tap in the hood. Some people don't understand, some people understand what it was. You say you don't know that my disciples, not a way to think.
At Academy of Hope here, we have our men on deck creating solutions, creating programs, creating tangibles that you can see. The thing that we're missing is your input. Without the collaborative effort, it's going to be one-sided, and it's not going to stand.
All right, we are back. So for everyone out there, that is just the piece, a little bit of what Dre does out there. But I'm glad that we showed that so people can get a better understanding. So today, people seen the video, they got a little bit more information, but from your eyes, through your process and your experience today, what did you do? Could you take us on your journey of today, going into Rikers and talking with the folks there? Okay. Hey, you back?
Okay, I'm here, yeah. So there's a brother here in New York City. His name is Giant. He runs a program called Giant Thinking and the Bartenders. And they go into Rikers Island on a routine basis. And they've been doing work on the island for years. So this isn't something new. It's just new for me. There's another brother named Pistol Pete. He has a podcast called Dogs in the Yard. And he used to be on Rikers Island. He used to be the king of Rikers Island, they used to call him. He was on there, just a menace at the time, on terror. He's since come home, turned his life around, and they both going there together. So they called me and said, hey, Dre, we going in this week. Why don't you fly up and rock with us? So I jumped on the plane this morning, 6 o'clock. Flew to New York, went into the jail. We spent the jail together, man, the day together. It was Pete's birthday, so shout out to Pete, happy birthday. We went in, it was Pete, it was myself, it was Giant, another brother, Steve. We all went in, man, and we just went unit to unit and sat down and talked to the brothers. Went out on the rec yard. They played basketball, I watched. They worked out. And we just sat down, man, and just had a chance to speak to people. The thing about being incarcerated and being locked up, it gives you time to reflect. You're in a thinking space. But the question is anybody giving you something to think about? Because they're open-minded, but there's nothing really being put in. So Giant Thinking, Dog in the Yard, Steve LaBelle, and myself, we go in and we try to put stuff in their heads while their brains are open and listening. So Rikers Island is historical. It's been around forever. People want to close it, they want to burn it, they want to blow it up, they want to move it, they want to get rid of it, they want to keep it. So it's always in turmoil. But I don't get caught up in the politics. I get caught up into the people. So we went in for the people today, not the politics.
So you shared that you're trying to give them stuff to think about, give them messages and lessons. What were some of those lessons and messages today?
One of my messages today was that they know how to make money. So I showed them today how they can make $300,000 with a system. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't cost much to set up, how to create videos and marketing and digital products that they can actually, when they walk out, become digital marketers day one. They should be, while they're inside, sitting down doing all their planning and strategy and grant and writing. So when they come home, they can just put it in action. 80% of digital marketing is planning. 20% is application. So I said, you have all the time right now to sit down and here together, put 20 heads together and start working on digital products. So by the time you come home, you can just be ready to launch. And the cost to launch a digital product isn't expensive. A couple $100 at best. That was one of the things that we talked about. In another unit, I talked about, man, growing up, man, feeling unwanted, feeling like nobody really cared or was tapped in, and I was on my own, and I felt as though that it was me against the world, so I have to live this way, and nobody cared if I changed my life or not. So feeling like nobody cared was a big thing I shared today. And then just the most important is I've been home for 23 years. So staying home is possible. There's a lot of people I met today who's on their second, third, fourth bid, third, fourth time getting brought back on bail. And they're like, they think that they can't change their circumstances because of where they live or who they know or who they are. I tell them, I went back from the same neighborhood. I'm the same guy. I know the same people. I decided to do something different. I gave them some tactics and understanding. Just because you forgive people doesn't mean you need to be around them. And just because people are related to you doesn't mean they should have access to you. Because everybody doesn't mean you're best good at heart.
So I've always heard, you give lessons or you share lessons, but also like you receive lessons. Were there folks today that you've talked to that you felt inspired or you felt connected to while you were talking and working through the program today?
When I was speaking today, we're in there, I'm talking, they were chattering, they were doing their own stuff, doing whatever they were doing in canteen days, everybody's busy. When everybody at the same time stops, puts the bags of chips down, put the stuff down, they sit down, they really start listening. I got the whole room's attention. When that happens, I know I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. Because they're supposed to talk and they're supposed to chat and they're supposed to not listen to me. That's what they're used to. So it's my job to win them over, not their job to win me over. So I was there saying, like, listen, and it was my job to win them over. I've seen so many people get mad at the people for not listening. If people ain't listening to you and they're busy talking in the back of the room, that means you're not the speaker for them. Because you have to connect to them, not vice versa. So when I connected to them, it makes me feel good because now I'm hopefully, they're young. We on an 18 to 21 unit, 18 to 21-year-old unit. So those guys got a chance like other people don't. And so it's good to see them tap in and listen and start asking questions about what they saw.
So I see that we have a question in the chat and it says, how was the experience speaking to the young brothers particularly? I don't know what's the age group that you talked to today, but how did they receive you?
I mean, I went in today, it wasn't just me. Brother Steve LaBelle spoke. He did a phenomenal job. P spoke. He did a phenomenal job. Giant spoke. He did a phenomenal job. And I spoke. So it wasn't just me up there all by myself, like riding the white horse. It wasn't a motivational speech. It was a team presentation where we shared and we passed the mic. And then in the second session, probably like 80 of the kids got up and spoke. I'm like, okay, I'm a facilitator. So I called one of the kids up and said, okay, you share. He's like, what do you mean? I said, you heard us, now let us hear you. Then he went, then he called the next kid, then he called the next kid, and we got like 7 or 8 kids to come up and give motivational speeches as well. So we're passing it on. Well, it's not sitting there talking at people. We give them a chance to talk to each other because the greatest mentor is the person that looks just like you that's going through what you're going through.
I think that's definitely very, very powerful to get in. And to go back to his questions, what was that age rate? Was it for young people?
The first unit we went to, everybody was 18 to 21 years old. No less than 18, no more than 21. That was the entire unit. Yeah. And the second unit we went to, it was again 18 to 21. And the third unit was 21 and over.
Okay, so we have
so they keep them separated based on age.
Okay, definitely different ages. So you said that you went in with a presentation. It was a group of folks. How did you start those connections?
I mean, the connections is the strongest connection you want to make when you go to prison is called showing up. I don't care what language you speak, what you look like, what you sound like, what you got to share. That's all. So many people in prison don't get visits. So many people in jail don't get visits. We just came off 2 years of COVID. For 2 years, nobody got visits. The entire facility was shut down for visits for at least 2 years. No blink, no visits, no programs, no outside contact. So showing up in 2023 is 10 times bigger than showing up in 2020 because you care, you speak, you care with your presence, not so much with your words. The words are secondary. You'd have a great speech, that's cool too. But the fact that you're there says that you care. And saying that you care and showing that you care is what matters.
So we just talked about the lessons that you shared today. On a personal note, whenever you're giving the lessons and you're trying to instill that in them, do you feel like these were the messages that you wanted or that you experienced whenever you were there?
Me and Pete said the same thing. Man, we wish we would have had these lessons when we was 16 years old in juvie. I mean, what? Somebody came to juvenile detention who fully got it, spoke my language, looked like me, came from where I came from, and taught me how to legitimately make money without having to rob people, carry a gun. I mean, it's one thing to teach somebody something, but if you don't get through to them, what you taught them is going to fall on deaf ears. And it goes back to, it's your job to not just give information, but to make a connection. So that's what comes down to. You got to make the connection, and then you can deposit information. It's not, otherwise you're just pulling your information on the sidewalk. So it was cool to make the connection. And having been from this space is what allows me to connect easier in this space. I'm not saying other people can't connect. I just move like I'm from there because I am. I grew up in these places. Pete grew up on the island. So it was easy to make the connection because we have the same body language.
So you shared about the lessons that you've instilled and that when you were there that you will want those lessons as well. Is there a lesson in particular that just rings in your mind that you had to go through and that you experienced there and then when you were released that you just want to share with everyone?
My strongest lesson is, or my number one question I get is, what was my biggest hurdle coming home from prison? What was my biggest hurdle while I was in prison? And I always say it's family. I'm not blaming my family for me going or having a rough stay, but family are the closest people to you in most instances. They have access. They have, anything happens to your mom or your sister, you feel it other than a stranger. So since they have emotional connections to you, everything they do impacts you. You can't play tough when it's your grandmother. You can't play tough when it's your little brother. So it touches you in a different way. So if they're doing good, if they're struggling, or whatever the case is, it impacts you directly. So dealing with family while you're inside and dealing with family on your outside will be your biggest challenge. I'm saying good, bad, or indifferent. It will be your biggest challenge. They're gonna want you to do things a certain way, and they're gonna push you to do things that way. It's not a bad thing. It's just the best way they came up with. It's hard to tell your loved ones no sometimes because they're the ones helping you. You might be staying with them. So it creates a dynamic that could not be healthy because they want the best for you. They just don't know how to communicate and show you the way and guide you through. So family is always the toughest dynamic in doing time and in transitioning from doing time.
Now we talked about this before. Maybe it was last week where you gave some tips, and I think that first tip was you have to say no. Sometimes you got to say no. But are there any other tips that you can share? Maybe like just two more for folks that are just released and they're trying to deal with or go through that family dynamic.
Okay, well, you don't have to be around people just because they're your family. There's this rule or this unwritten rule, or you got to go see this one, you got to see that. No, you don't. You don't. I mean, you was inside without them. There's just some relatives you don't get along good with, and that's okay. You can still love them from a distance, but you don't have to be around people just because they're related to you. That's lesson one. The lesson two is they need you. You know what I'm saying? My family needed me, even though they didn't call me and tell me that. They didn't send me emails like, hey, Dre, we got this problem and that problem. You can help us out. I came home, man, I had a lot of need in my family. And I felt overwhelmed and responsible for fixing that need. And I couldn't fix it in 30 seconds or 20 seconds. So therefore, I had to go get my own life together and get to a place where I can then reach back and help the people in my family who needed help. So don't try to do it overnight. The Superman stuff doesn't work.
Understood. Now, we watched the video. You talked a little bit about Rikers earlier on in the live, but if somebody was to look up your name and they see your webpage, they're going to see founder of the Violence Interrupter model. What is that? And is that what you and your the people today did?
The Violence Interrupter model was created by a few people: Michael Barton, Will Dunn, Charles Taylor, aka Fever, myself, Steve Peavy. Who else was it? Brother Jihad were the original. I might be missing one or two people, but I believe those are the original people who got together. And the Violence Interrupter model was people who did time leading the work. Not someone who had a great idea, who had a passion for the work, somebody came from the neighborhood. No. People who did hard time and did time in solitary, fights on the yard, stabbings on the yard, were used to be gang leaders, not just gang members. When those guys came together, when we came together, we went out and talked to kids, we became the violence interrupters. That's what our original definition of violence interrupters were: being led by people who lived it, with lived experience. Not just, oh, I used to work in the kitchen at prison, so count me in. Now, the dudes who used to sell dope in jail, the dudes who used to gangbang in jail, the guys who used to go to solitary in jail, those guys got together, including myself, from different gangs in different organizations. We got together and we said, these are our kids, these are our neighborhoods, this is our responsibility. And it's ex-offender led outreach is what makes Violence Interrupters.
Now, were all of these people born and raised where you're from, or are they all across the nation? Like,
the original team, when we first did it, were all from Boston. Everybody I named is from Boston. Tony Seymour, forgot me, big time. He was with the original team. When we first started, we were all from Boston, different neighborhoods, but all from the same cities. We had every neighborhood there. My man Buzz and Trump from Franklin Hill, can't forget them. They'll come to me as we go through. It's been like 20 years, 23 years. So I'm not, Trump used to ride together all the time, but baseline, we were all from Boston. And then we made it work. And then other people saw the model and they copied the model. That's how it works. I mean, people copy what they see work. So we created a model and people copied it. So now you have credible messengers, you have violence interrupters, you have this program, that program, and they're all based on the model that we created in '99. Now, some of these programs aren't led by ex-offenders, aren't led by gang leaders, aren't led by people with lived experience. So it's a variation of what we did. But at the end of the day, by the time it's a third iteration, nobody cares about the facts.
now I think that definitely leads us into this next question, which is about programs. Like, are there any stigmas like for programs in the prison?
The stigma for programs in the prison is a stereotypical one. We say if you go to mental health counseling, you're crazy. And if you're crazy, then that's a bad thing. And it's like a negative thing. Instead of saying everybody in prison has mental health issues, so everybody in prison should go to mental health services. I believe if you're spending time locked in a cage, you have a mental health condition. That is a condition that's attacking your mental health. They are locking you in a cage. The toilet's next to your bed. It's 8 by 10 foot cell. You might or may not have a window. You know what I'm saying? So that's a condition that's not healthy for a human. So that person needs to go see a mental health specialist because it's an abnormal circumstance that you're living in. If you do this for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, I don't care how normal you make it, you know what I'm saying, it's a mental health condition. But when we say, hey, I need to go see a mental health counselor, oh man, you crazy. We take crazy from back in the South, back in the days, and we apply it to now when somebody's trying to get mental health therapy. And so the stigma of saying you have mental health has always been a barrier to people getting help.
And how did you overcome that barrier?
And I don't give a fuck what people think, man. I got to the point where people thinking wasn't bigger than me wanting. What I wanted was bigger than what they thought. So some people thought I was crazy. Some people thought I was wasting time. Some thought, oh, Dre's just running game. He ain't going nowhere. He's just running game. Everybody had a range of thoughts. And in the beginning, I used to be concerned, I used to be concerned about what other people thought. I got to the point where I said, when I had a clear purpose and goal to go home, and if this is gonna get me home, then I'm going. I'm not staying here with you so you can think I'm cool. If you thinking I'm cool means I stay here, then fuck that. I'm gone. I don't need you to think I'm cool. You can think I'm crazy, bugged out, whatever. I ain't doing nothing this inappropriate. I'm not doing nothing out of pocket. I'm just going to counseling. I'm going to GED class. I'm going to law library. If trying to get out of jail is a bad thing, then I'm just going to be a bad guy.
Well, we do have a question in the chat. Now, I think I kind of know this question, but for someone, they said when they copied your program, did they give you guys credit?
Never. We don't exist. We do not exist in the copy. I'm saying when you hijack something or you copy and paste something, you don't, because if you acknowledge me, then you feel as though like, well, people are going to come back to me. The reason you copied and pasted so you can get credit, you can be the boss of it. You know what I'm saying? If we go all the way back to the first church was built in Antioch. And then after Peter died, they had 3 churches. And they used to have meetings in Rome all the time. Then after he died, then they're like, well, they come up with somebody wanted a different set of rules. So they came up with the Greek Orthodox Church, which was the first split. The Catholic Church split into Greek Orthodox and the Catholics. And then they got the 2 groups. And then the next thing you know, another group said, well, we want to do it this way. And they broke, and here come the Protestants / Protestants. Now we probably got like 500 denominations of all kinds of Christianity because everybody wants to be in charge. Everybody wants to be in charge. Everybody wants to have their own version. And we have non-denominational churches, these denominational churches, these AME, Baptist, Southern Baptist. I mean, it started out as one church. Now there's like 500 variations. It's still one Bible. How did one Bible produce 500 churches? Because everybody wants to do their variation, and no group gives acknowledgement to the group before it. So I'm not offended or upset, but no, they did not acknowledge. And I don't need them to. But what happens is history speaks for itself. You go look up the articles. I got articles back from 2000, 2001 talking about us doing this work. They can't produce articles before that saying that they started this work. And you know something? It's not a competition. I intentionally never copyrighted anything from day one to now. For 23 and a half years, everything I've ever created was never copywritten. I want you to steal my work. I want you to go use my work and go help somebody. So I have 0 copyrights on any of my work. So if there's something I come up with, take it and run with it. I came up with a term called proven risk youth. People have stolen that and run with it, and I'm okay with it because it's helping kids. Kids are getting help. Yeah. As long as people are getting help at the result, I don't care if they give me credit. I get credit for my creator. I get credit for my invention. And when I show up on my death day and they're like, hey, Dre, your work did this.
Yeah.
I don't need the people to acknowledge me. I don't do it for the people.
That's real. That's real. That's so real. So we talked about the stigmas of programs. When you created this program, now you said you didn't care, like you just said, it don't matter what anybody thinks, but because you know that there is a stigma there of mental health, when you created your program, how did you tweak it and make it different so you can go in and connect, especially with younger kids or the younger kids?
Mental health isn't an issue. It's the outside people laughing at you. And those people need it too, for the record. So when the people in charge say it's cool, then it's cool. When the people in charge say it's not cool, then it's not cool. Our systems run like any other system, any other time of the month of the day. It's leaders top down. So when people are going to challenge you, you got to stand on your square. I'm saying when you wore a new kind of sneakers or you wore a different kind of tie or shirt or jacket, at first it wasn't cool, then it became cool. I'm saying sometimes you just got to be early with it. But in our programs, we take the brunt of it. We take the hit. We say, so if you got anything to say about it, you say it about us, not about the individual in the program. This is our program. Everybody's going to participate in this part. The mental health, everybody does. You can't opt out of it. So it's like, yo, I didn't want to do it, but they made me do it. Blame it on us. We don't care. Let's get the help.
So whenever you went in, well, let me just go ahead and take it a step back. I'm taking another personal question. I already said one. Let me give you another one. So you are 23 years free. You do this work all the time. We just saw a video. You just went to Rikers today. Um, but personally, like, how do you feel stepping into a prison after so long? And I know you do this, but whenever you go there, like, how do you feel personally?
Personally, I mean, I feel like I'm at home. I was born and raised in prison, and other than being in prison, I never had a bad experience for the most part. I never got beat up, I never got robbed, I never got threatened, I never got stabbed or shot or whatever happened, I never got extorted. So I never had a. I mean, you have the misfortune of being there. Somebody likes being locked up. So don't get me wrong. I didn't like being locked up. I didn't like being in the building by my whatever that is. But the thing is, nobody likes being locked up. Nobody likes being by themselves, away from their family. Nobody likes being away from holidays. But there's a lot of people who go through a lot of torment and angst for being there. So they come home with anxieties about being in prison. I didn't have a bad experience other than being there. I mean, the day to day, this sucks, of course, but so it's not an issue for me going back. So if I had a bad experience, I got beat up a bunch of times, I got stomped out, I got robbed, then I'd have anxieties. I wouldn't want to go back there. None of that happened to me. So going back to me isn't an issue because I don't have bad memories other than just simply I had to do time. So going back to me is easy. And that's what I like about it. I told Pete Jackson today, I said to Pete, I said, Pete, you come on the yard. Most people who run prison reform or prison programs, they never walk in the building. If they walk in the building, it's in a controlled setting. They're not go to the yard, go to the units, go to solitary, work with people in real time. And then I'll say, hey, you got a prison program. And it's not a prison hustle.
Yeah. Ooh, not a prison hustle.
Anytime you have programs led by people who haven't done time, it's subject to be suspect because you mean well. It's like if hey, I know something. There's a lot of people in the Pacific Northwest who got a problem with forest fires. And they say, Dre, we're gonna put you in charge of it. I don't know shit about living in the Pacific Northwest. I don't know shit about forest fires. But if you're gonna pay me $300,000, I guess I'll do it. And those people are gonna get a short end of the stick. Yo, Dre, we got a problem in I'm saying New Guinea. I don't even know what New Guinea is. It's in Africa somewhere. Well, we're gonna put you in charge of it. All right, cool. I mean, come on. If you put me in charge of some medical shit, I'm gonna mess it up. I'll do my best. Why is doing your best okay when you don't know what you're doing? Why do we accept, well, he's doing his best? No, doing your best is not good enough. If you do your best in basketball and you only score 3 points, they cut you. If you do your best in baseball and you're batting 150, they cut you. If you're doing your best in football and they scoring 30 touchdowns on you, they cut you. So why is it okay for you to do your best with real people in real time and real lives? I don't think it's okay. But right now, people are just doing their best. And we're lab monkeys.
That is a word. I don't know if anybody else felt that, how I felt that, but geez, that's it. That's it.
So, I mean, people show up with big degrees and big plans and big concepts, and they're doing their best. They keep rotating and rotating and rotating, and we're going generations deeper, deeper, deeper. Stop doing your best, and if you ain't fit for the job, get out the way. But people are like, yo, they're gonna pay me $250. I'll try it. You gave me $300,000 to fly. Let me say to work at chief executive of an airport. I'll take your job. I'll probably get fired 6 months in, then they'll give someone else a job. If they keep hiring incompetent people, you're gonna keep getting, I'm saying, bad work. Incompetent doesn't mean you're dumb. This means you're not good at this. I'm incompetent when it comes to flying a plane.
There's a comment in the chat and it says straight up, this is I am Cardell saying straight up, I took a guy in to attend my program. I got to walk in the yard and he did not know what to do. So
when South Carolina called us in 2018, they had a situation that was real bad, and the brothers had been locked down for 5 months, and there was a lot of problems there. I went around to all the people, the top reentry programs and job skills programs. I said, yo, I got a chance to go into South Carolina DOC, and we're gonna go inside the prison. We're gonna help these brothers in real time. Let's go. They're opening the doors and tell me to bring whoever I want. They're like, what do you mean? Where they had the riot at? Where they were stabbing people and they was chopping? I ain't going there. I said, dude, you got the number one reentry program in the city. Now I give them jobs when they get out. And they got a parole officer and they're scared they don't want to go back to jail. I try to give them a job. I'm not risking my life going to no damn prison. You know why? Because when he was in prison, he probably had bad experience. And I started calling all these gurus and CEOs of programs and nonprofit leaders, hey, we're going inside. They're like, you're going inside. We're not going inside. When Mississippi 2 years ago was having a lot of murders in their facilities, I called people. They were outside with bullhorns. I'm like, no, let's go inside. I know the commissioner. They're like, no. They got knives in there. It's safer outside in front with a bullhorn.
They changed their tune real quick.
I'm like, no. I'm like, let's go inside and talk to them in real time. We were on the yard today. There's nothing stopping somebody from stabbing me or 20 guys from jumping me. Other than I'm there to help them and I convey that. But if you don't really have them in your heart, you ain't trying to be up on a unit with them. That's what stops people from really going inside. It's now, do you really love these people? Do you really love these people? 2 years ago when I was working in South Carolina and had the COVID situation, and they kicked out everybody who wasn't essential staff could not go in. After 2 or 3 weeks, they called me and said, Drake, we're going to reclassify your team and make you essential staff.
Yeah.
And y'all can go in if you want to. So I'm saying to myself, man, why would I want to go back in there? I'm not scared of knives. I'm not scared of guns. I'm not scared of fighting. I'm not scared of none of that. But if somebody cough on you and they kill you, that's different.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm cool with a riot. I'm cool with a fight. I'm cool with somebody getting whatever. This shit happens. I can see that coming. I can feel the vibe or the energy. I know if I offended somebody or from the middle of something, you can feel that. But if a dude just coughs on you and you die, or he coughs on his hand, he touches a doorknob, and you touch a doorknob an hour later and you die, that's different.
Yeah.
So I said, do I really love these people enough to put my life on the line? And I said, you talk to good ones, Ray. I ain't scared of dying. Don't nobody determine when I die but God. That's the shit I used to walk around the yard saying, kid, you can't kill me, only God can. So if you want, unless you work for God, you might as well get out the way. And now that used to be my thing. So now I'm sitting in my house and I have the option of going in or not going in. And I said, well, I could not go and nobody would know, but I would know. I called my team. I said, I'm going inside. Whoever wants to go in can go with me.
Yeah.
And my entire team came in with me. I said, if we're going to die by somebody coughing on us, then let's die doing what we were born to do. I don't want to die hiding in my house and somebody in the mailman give it to me. If I'm going to die from COVID, then let me get it in jail and let me die on the battlefield. Mm-hmm. Let me die trying to help somebody, not trying to hide in a goddamn bunker. So when it was push come to shove and it was life or death, we still went. And it wasn't talking about riots. We're talking about medical, people coughing. So a lot of folks ain't going to risk their life for nobody behind no bars. I'm going to put my life on the line for my brothers and my sisters and their family, time and time again. So I don't care how violent they say a jail is or how crazy they say these people are, I'm going. Those are my people. I claim them and I pull up for them. But if that ain't your thing,
yeah.
You like, I'll catch them on the outside when they're reentry programs.
I love that. I'm feeling so inspired, and I hope people at home are as well. And we have some good questions coming up. So the first question, well, I think we get this question almost every single day, if not every single day. But for those who follow you and want to work with you or start something similar, how can they get in contact? How can they get with you to start?
If you want to start, if you've done time and you're a former boss or you're a former shot caller or you're someone just solid soldier or hitter and you want to start a program, I'll show you. I'll tell you. It's easy. I'm saying, easy. I just got with Pete today. We did a podcast with Pete, and he's going to set up a platform where everybody who fits the criteria can go to him. We're gonna set up a seminar and a conference just for us, and we're gonna come in and we're gonna teach. So reach out to Pistol Pete, Dog on the Yard, send him your information, say, hey, I want to be a part of the conference, but he's gonna vet you. He's gonna vet you. So if you ain't ready to be vetted, hold your shit.
So a question, it seems like people with a violent past, would people with a violent past be your first option, or would someone who hustled or sold drugs or was locked up, is there a place for them to help you as well? That's one of our questions.
Okay. My primary thing that I do is work with people who are violent. You know why? Because I wasn't a drug dealer for real. I sold drugs in jail, but that's just jail shit. You know what I'm saying? So I used to be a violent felon. I was a stick-up kid, and I used to be a violent felon. So that's what I know. I really don't understand pimping. I really don't understand shoplifting. I really don't understand credit card scammers. I don't understand, you know what I'm saying, even drug dealers for that matter. So it's not my first thinking process. I work well with violent felons because I used to be a violent felon. So, but if my system, I could give it to you, and if you come from the hustling space, it'll work for hustlers. You come from pimping space, it'll work with that. You come from shoplifters, it'll work with that. But me working with a shoplifter is tough because my attitude, my disposition, my cadence, the way I speak is really aggressive. And unless you're a really aggressive person, you're going to be offended a lot of the times. So I get people who get offended often. They think I'm being too mean or too harsh. But if you've been in this, if you were the type of dude I was, then it's not harsh. It's just normal conversation. So it's not. So the short answer is I generally gravitate towards violent felons. I have worked with nonviolent felons, and I can help you work with nonviolent felons. But that's my specialty.
All right, got you. That person said thank you, so definitely dropping some information for him. Another question is, my homeboy is coming home next year after doing 32 years. He just received his bachelor's degree. What's the likelihood that he'll land softly? His degree is in business administration.
There's no land softly. There's no such thing as land softly. If he was just getting out of college, there's no land softly. I mean, going to college for 4 years or 6 years and getting out, there's no land softly. Life is still tough. It's just tougher for people coming from prison. Life is tough for regular people. You know what I'm saying? I got some relatives who've never been to prison who are struggling. I see people, I see the guards at the prison. They're working for short money for long hours. And that's tough. I see people picking up trash in the airport. They're pushing the buggies around picking up trash. That's a tough life. Life is not going to be easy regardless where you come from. So he can make it. I've made it. Countless people have made it. He just has to determine that he's going to make it. If they say, hey, 98% of people fail, he needs to have the attitude, well, count me in at 2%. That's the attitude you have to have. 98% of people fail who do what you're trying to do. You say, that's fine. Count me in at 2%. I know it's been done before. Don't listen to the haters. Don't listen to the naysayers. Work on your plan. Help them work on their strategy. Get them some up-to-date books. It's cool to get a college degree. Get them some up-to-date books on business stuff. So, Neva, remind me to make a list. We can put some business book suggestions on here for people. And it was Cry Freedom. Put Cry Freedom in the thing. We were supposed to tell some people about the mental health book. It's a mental health book called Cry Freedom.
All right. Mental health book, Cry Freedom. All right, it's 6:50. That means we only have 10 minutes. And like we do every day, as I remind Dre every day, what is the quote of the day? What are we leaving the good folks with?
Oh, without question, after walking out of the penitentiary or the county jail, I am my brother's keeper, and I shall be the light and the watchman on the wall. I am my brother's keeper, and I will be the light and the watchman on the wall.
And how does that quote resonate with you today?
Like I said, I went in there for my brothers who are inside and my brothers who went inside. So it's not just for the people inside. I go inside and I help the guys who are locked up. I went inside today to help my brother Pete, my brother Steve, and my brother Giant, who were trying to do something great. And I lent my services to them. I lent my skills to them. I'm like one of the top people in the country at this. So I can be like, I'm not coming out for them. No, I'm going to come support them. I went into Giant's program to elevate him and to help Pete and to help Steve make it a better program. They're great. I'm just helping make it better. And lastly, we go in and help the staff too. Because what happens is, if you want better prisoners, you have to have better guards. That should be the quote of the day. If you want better prisoners, you need better guards. Because no matter what program you go through or what test you take or class you have, CL come in your cell, throw your pictures on the floor. You don't care about the anger management program. CL coming in, break your TV or mess your stuff up. All that stuff goes out the window and you're about to flip out. So,
Yeah.
and the guards are sitting there and they watch a guy like me come in and teach prisoners how to make money. They watch Giant come in and teach people how to make money. They watch Pete come back and teach people how to be good and successful. They're like, what about us? We've been good in theory, we've been good our whole life. We've been doing it the right way and we're struggling. We live in check to check. So we want the guards to see that prisoners can come home and be good and do good. Not just be good, but do good. And then because in their mind, all they ever see are people at their worst. That's all they ever see. I see you in jail, you did something to somebody, you're here, you go home and you come back. I only see you as a guard when you come back. And I'm saying, oh man, you must be jacked up and you'll never make it. And then he comes back 10 times and he comes back 10 times. Then you get jaded because that's all you see year after year is people coming back to jail. So we want the guards to see that we come home and do good. So they can say, well, damn, man, look at that. I had some of the staff say to me, you hiring? Real talk. They asked me if I'm hiring. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, I want to come back out with you. We want them to know and to see that we can do good, and because that changes their mindset. Because if their mindset is none of us are going to do good, we're all going to mess up, we're all going to come back, and you're not getting the best of them. So we come back and show them that we do level up, we do great things in the world, and we thank them for giving us the opportunity to come inside. And we share with the inmates, the staff, and the people coming in.
So for those of you all who don't know or who just hopped on the live, because people still hopping on the live, I see on Instagram, I see you sneak in at the end. You just went to Rikers today and you had a phenomenal day with some fellow folks up there that went in, but you're going to Louisiana in a week or so.
The 28th, the 28th through the 1st, we're doing prisons in Louisiana.
Mm-hmm. So are the messages and the lessons that you share there, are they going to be a little bit different because it's a different place that you're going to?
Every region of the world, not the country, every region of the world has its own culture. So Louisiana is next door to Mississippi, 2 cultures. Mississippi is next door to Georgia, 2 cultures. Alabama's next door, 2 cultures. So Louisiana, New York, Rikers Island is New York cats. Brooklyn, Manhattan, the Bronx, Queens, Far Rockaway, they all up in there. It's all Harlem. It's all New York dudes. They have that New York attitude, New York swag, and they have the New York mindset. That big city, fast-paced mindset is not in Louisiana. It's not better or worse. They just move different. And if you leave Louisiana and you go to Memphis, it's different. You're saying you go up to DC, it's different. So you have to speak to the people based on the culture that they're in. So what I said to a dude in New York is not going to be the same way I would say. I'd say the same thing, but I wouldn't say it the same way.
Got you. And will you be working with another group of folks in there? Or
we're going 7 deep. For the first couple of days, we're going in 7 deep. Then we're going to break down to 4 for the rest of the week. But we're starting out 7 deep. We got people coming from Detroit. We got people coming from New York. We got people coming from Atlanta. We got people coming from, who else we got coming? We got people coming from North Carolina. I mean, we got a range of people who wanted to volunteer. Some of these people just wanted to volunteer and come. Bought their own plane tickets, pay for their own hotel. They just want to come and serve.
Look, someone in the chat literally just said, You hiring?
Send your resume to Pistol Pete. He's hiring. No, so real talk. I mean, we're just trying to help people. It's not about a hiring thing. This is like, I didn't get paid for today. So if you work for me, you can work today for free. I'm going to Louisiana. I'm not getting paid. So if you go to Louisiana for a week, it'd be for free. So I, fortunately, have made enough money in my old life that I can retire and just go help people. Everybody doesn't have that circumstance. But so I'm not paying myself to do this. So I'm not paying people to do this. This is people who just want to do this. So if this is just something you want to do, then come on through. We can hook you up on one of the trips.
Look, there's someone who wrote in the chat just now. He said, "Sir, I finally got, I think, out of Fulton County, right up the street in Atlanta. I met you in there. I just want you to know that some of those things you told me still stand." So this is real life. He's been dropping gems and knowledge all
Man,
day.
listen,
All
my man from Rice Street it's not, I don't say fun. I enjoy the hell out of Rice Street. Listen, I'm not a rapper. If they didn't have 300, there's like 2,000 people in Rice Street. If they didn't have 300 rappers in that building, they'd have nothing. The Grammys should be held at Rice Street. No kidding. I mean, the Soul Train Awards, the Source Hip Hop Awards, BET Awards, they should hold that shit at Rice Street. They are, listen, it's crazy the amount of rappers that are in there. And these dudes are so talented, it's not, I'm talking about million streams, multiple songs, million streams, 2 million streams, 3 million streams. I'm like, what are you doing in Rice Street? It's not the talent, it's the trauma. So shout out to Rice Street, shout out to Atlanta, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to all my people in the Delta Lounge.
Shout out to the Delta Lounge. And shout out to everybody online. Hey, if you just got on live today, guess what? We're going to be on live tomorrow. Tomorrow's the last day, but it's going to be one of the best days. It's going to be absolutely amazing. We have YouTube, LinkedIn.
We got a guest tomorrow.
Oh, and there's a guest.
Yeah. He was going to come on today, but I was out of town. So Eddie Curry, number 4 pick in the NBA draft to the Chicago Bulls, will be on tomorrow.
Y'all heard it here first. Y'all heard it here first. And I know y'all want to see it. I see people on Instagram. Word, joining. So it's a good day. It's 6:59. Do you want to just say?
They want to know your name.
My name?
Yeah.
My name is Neba Evans.
You had to do all that. You're going to give me whole government. Neba, you know, who online talking about, okay, what's your social? You got scammers on here.
I'm not getting on my social, y'all.
Nah,
definitely not.
Sister Neba's on the line, y'all. That's real talk. Nah, okay, but it is that time. It is 8 o'clock. I'm about to go get on my flight.
All right.
We hang out in the Delta Lounge, just chilling, waiting for the flight. But I got
hanging out with you all today.
Hey, listen. For those who don't know, bang.
Get that 360. I aspire.
Listen, I have the highest status of anybody in this lounge, rocking a hoodie and some Vapor Max, but it don't matter. It doesn't matter where you come from. If you hit the box, you hit the box. Delta doesn't judge, so neither should you.
Quote of the day. That's quote of the day. Okay, we already have one quote. We getting quote after quote today.
All right, well,
y'all have a wonderful night. 1 minute. Tomorrow at 7.
Peace.